Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is, of course, Gamer 1745 here. And we are playing Hearts of Iron 4's Black Ice, which is a highly developed mod. I am still learning the nuances of it. They've really added a lot to it. Now, had a question from a viewer, and I know I answered it there, but maybe enough other people might have a similar question about it, and but just sort of let it slide by. So I'm going to try to answer it here. Why did I send these SS, they call them divisions, but these are just, as you can see, 2 battalion regiments, regiment of 2 battalions. So they're not much of a fighting force there. Why did I send them there? Well, okay. Here's the thing. We did not set this up as a puppet. We could, I don't know if there's any territory that's officially, we could release the nation. But I don't really know exactly here because we did not set this up as a puppet. Now, what we do have here is resistance mode here. So we have 3% resistance, 6% here, and compliance. We are down at like 29% compliance here, and that will improve over time. Why I sent these here. You can, if this was set up as more of an occupied territory situation, with which, yes, it is, or set this up as a, here's our subject over here, which is a bit different, but they may be having similar problems of that. But set these up in that way. We can send in, well, keep jumping around, I know, it's still waking up. We can use templates and how much, military force to occupy the zones. Okay, and which does matter. But also, what matters are units on the map. And we can come here, and why did I send these here? Well, each of these battalions here have a suppression of 1.72. Where if we look at like an infantry division, no suppression. Now they might have a military police unit attached. That would give it some suppression. But most of these units do not have any suppression. We can look at a more standard garrison formation here. Another battalion here. And it has a suppression of 1.56. So it reduces resistance. Ah, hello, folk. Okay. Well, this is the December version. I think. Because I've had to restart this, folk. So I think this is the current main release version out there. Now they also do test versions too. But I think I've had to restart. I don't know if you've been watching all of the episodes, but I've had to restart this Still, it's all one series, but I've had to restart this game and play it. So I think this is the current main release. And I've just been overwhelmed with stuff, people. I'm sorry. Um, I will show how to pull a version out so they don't update it to something new. So we are going to look at this. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a what if now. A what if before we go into any more. Either what if right at this sort of moment Hitler was restrained, or prior to the invasion of Bohemia and Moravia, they've already gotten Sudetenland, they pulled in Danzig, because Danzig was very sort of German. It was controlled by the German population there. There were some Polish troops there, but probably more German troops in Danzig than Polish troops. It was a free city. It was not part of Poland um, exactly. Similar to here, this they're calling it the Spanish Protectorate of Morocco, but there this was also another free city of Tangiers. Um, the free city of Tangiers, because the rest of the coastline around here was Spanish Morocco. Okay, Spain controlled this. Tangiers, which maybe only half of this province here, was in the free city of Tangiers, and either, excuse me, either the day of or the day before Germany occupies, I forget exactly which. Germany occupies Paris. They're watching. That is when Franco um, occupies without, militarily invades, but there is no resistance. The free city of Tangiers. He times it not to make into headlines because everybody's headlines and concern is going to be about Germans occupying Paris. So just there were a couple of free cities like that, and Danzig was another one of them. So what if Hitler is restrained at that point and does not go territorially aggressive after this point? What would have happened? Now, the Nazis are still evil, so are the Soviets. What would have happened? And that's a really interesting question. Now, Hitler is ideologically driven, okay? And in a way, all world leaders are, okay? And that's sort of the point of what I'm talking about. Now, the ideology of a lot of the French leaders was control French territory. Um, Same with the British. Now, those territories included, a lot of colonies and whatnot. Well, Hitler's ideology was one, first step, unite the German people. Second step, create Lebensraum, living room. That is what he is ideologically driven to do. It's just like the Bolsheviks, the communists, the Stalinists, or whatever. They are not satisfied, communists, in just about all cases, are not satisfied with creating communism somewhere. they believe they believe in it, and it's not. It's a dogma. Is it really religious? I don't know. In that it is uh, atheistic, meaning that they believe religion, as they would term it, is the opiate of the masses. Now, of course, atheism, believing that there is no God, there is, just evolution or something, that is also a religion. Um, it's just an atheistic religion. But I don't know that communism and atheism are linked in a religious belief sense. So don't really want to call it that. Where Nazi National Socialism under Hitler is a religious belief system because it explains creation, if you will, and has God or a God type figurehead, whatnot. But the belief, the ideology of communism isn't to pick up whether it's Big Russia or Liechtenstein or something. And hey, we're just going to perfect communism right here, just like here in this. You don't see me waving my hands around, but in this place, we're going to have communism, and that's cool. You guys over there, you do you. We'll do us, you do you. No, communism everywhere from the writings of Marx onward seems to have the idea that it must be universal. They must conquer everywhere. They cannot allow people to choose another way to go. They must free people from prosperity and liberty. Free them from prosperity and liberty. Make them, state controlled. They can't allow other other competing ideas to exist. If you were to listen to a communist, that would be because they are freeing them from the opiate that they're addicted to of liberty and economic prosperity. We have to free you from that because you don't want to be prosperous. You want to be communists. You should want this thing. So Hitler wants his Lebensraum. Now, but what if he is restrained? Mussolini is restrained, people. I don't know if you understand this. Throughout the entire, you have reached the 88 already, or have you already researched the 88? Oh, the gun. We'll get there in a moment, Arno. Um, Throughout the entire time of Mussolini's regime in power, there is a king above him. He does ban some leftist parties, but the fascists are never totally in control of Italy like they want to be. Their totalitarianism is never complete. Often people say, "Oh, well, communism killed 100 million plus people in the 20th century." Um, and it failed. Oh, well, that wasn't real communism. Well, whatever, but they were in total charge. Where fascism in Italy was never fully in charge. It had the royalists, the conservatives, um, always there restraining Mussolini's ambitions, either ambitions internally. And another an element also is the church, because I forget there is a in the 20s, there's a, what is it, Concordia or whatever, with the Roman Church, in which primary education, early education, was still going to remain in the hands of the Catholic Church. Mussolini wants it all under state control. So there's always a power sharing situation under Mussolini in Italy. But what if Hitler was restrained? What would World War II have been averted? I see a lot of aggression from Stalin prior to, and the communists generally, but Stalin particularly, prior to the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. And you just barely have the Poles stopping communist expansion, and you have the exhaustion of the Reds at the end of this the Russian Civil War, that they sort of, I mean, they're definitely infiltrating all communist parties everywhere outside of the Soviet Union and causing trouble there, but they're no longer military attacking. But I think the military buildup that Moscow does, I think they would have pushed like they did after the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, but I think they would have pushed. There is still a very strong chance for a Nazi-Soviet war to break out. But it's always an interesting look of what would have been, and I'd love to hear any of your comments of what you guys think would have happened. Would if Hitler is restrained, if the Nazis are restrained somehow, and they're not violently pushing for new territories, a new war, would war have broken out in Europe? And what would that war have looked like? Just an interesting thought here. Okay, and Arno is asking if we have researched the 88 yet, and I'm pretty sure the answer will be no. Let's look here. Not even sure where it is on this chart. No, there it is. 88, okay, that's, yeah, okay, yes, so 41, this is the short barrel, well, medium barrel, whatever you want to call it, the one on the Tiger 1 tank. We have not researched it yet. We don't have anti-aircraft or anti-air dual AA yet. So where do we find that? I think that is over here. We need to do this one, which will take us 66 days. So next time we get a free one over here, in one of these three, we will do this, Arno, which will help us get the 88 center. All right, well. Oh, yeah, you're right. They should. They did historically. Um, yeah. Yes, we'll form this division. You see, this is the problem with mods. And I know one person who just commented on the first episode in this series that as soon as I, did this and opened up the console here, I'm out. And I really do appreciate you, whoever, if you're leaving this series, whether it's on the first episode or the most recent episode, and something I do says I'm out. I want to hear it. I don't take it as an attack. I want to hear it. And because he told me why. Well, I get the idea of, hey, I don't want to see a cheater play a game. I want to see a person play the game as intended and deal with the shit. I get that. Trust me, I do get that. But also, once you're starting to play a mod like this, and what I did during this was add a bunch of political power at the start of the game, because I disagree with the modders of what some of, well, no, they're more down here, as well as some of the leaders, what they should be, who should be in power already, and what the current, at the start, what the current different policies should have been. And since then, you can look at the thing. I haven't been cheating. I've been like dumping in a bunch more political power or a bunch of stability or other things. So I look at what I did at the start as modding a mod, because, like Arno rightfully pointed out, by 1939, they had the Flak 18. Okay. Flak 18, it was not done and made in 1918 like the name sort of is hinting at. They're trying to, and I've talked about this before, with the naming convention, there's a lot of 18s of various types for weapon systems, because they're trying to make it, oh, this was all research done before the end of World War I. We just, didn't get it into production when World War I stopped. We're just now putting it in production now. That was sort of a Versailles gimmicky thing. But it was definitely around by this point. And so whether it's the base game or the mod, we need to understand that not everything is correct. Now, you might say on the Flak 18 here, well, we can go back up to the top here so we can look at, I have to guess which one. And we do have a thing here that allows some bonuses ahead of time, and heavy anti-air direct support. This, you could very much say this is, and I think we're getting this bonus here. And it's not, and it's not Arno saying that there isn't a Flak 18, because we already have it, but it's, this is also useful for, dual purpose. From the Spanish Civil War. Well, and they definitely used it as a dual purpose gun in the Spanish Civil War. I don't know at what year. I don't know if it was in 1936 or in 1939, towards the end of the war, or somewhere, in the intervening years, that they used this as a dual purpose setup. You could, very much go, well, hey, gamer, you should we have prioritized it over some of these other. Here, a gun that should probably be around prior to 1939. Again, I don't know exactly when the 150 millimeter Speer field Haubitze 18 comes into. I know I'm butchering that German. Into either development, which that's what this is, or production, and that stands for 150 millimeter heavy field howitzer, where this is a 100, a cannon. This is a mortar. Why they're calling it that, a mortar, I don't know. But instead of researching something else, I should have researched this by this point. This should be done. They could, instead of giving a bonus to research this, they could just give us the technology for being involved in the Spanish Civil War, and not make us required to research it. It would just be a way to do it. And hello, Ragar. They should use plus values, not percentages. Yeah, I don't know, but you could just simply because I do know that these tank technologies are given as taking over Czechoslovakia. So you can code it to give Germany the dual use capability of the Flak 88s, just because of participation in that. Shouldn't Germany get 100 after getting Czechoslovakia innovated? Yeah, there's a whole lot of things that, and this is one of the things I'm taking a look here with the looking at the mod. You know what we already do have here. Here's this is you know, the same Mauser 18, which again they're using that. This you see all of these 18s, 18, 18. No, that's not. That's in the 30s. Flak 18, then later 36. It's not. It's more of an improved carriage, not so much improved like barrel design or anything, or you know, power. It's just improved carriages. You'll see a lot of 18s around, an MG18 for and an MG15 for dealing with stuff. That's again to sort of quote unquote fool the Versailles inspectors, because some of these weapon systems predate Nazis coming to power. And even in the early days, 1933 to 1934, they're still pretending to be following the Versailles treaties. So now I don't know which is the Czech heavy artillery as opposed to that. This, I'm pretty sure, would be the German development. I don't know if this is a Czech improvement. Yeah, because the last model of, which is not on here, the last model of howitzers for Germany in the 150 millimeter range is a Czech development during World War II. You can see here, this is a solid rubber tire. So when it goes boom, it doesn't, it's not filled with air like this is filled with air. It's pneumatic. This is solid rubber, so it doesn't jiggle too much. This does look like it has air in it, but that's just a standardized icon. Solid rubber tire here. Here, what you can see down here, I believe, and here, what these are in here, these are if I'm understanding this correctly, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure with this one. This may be one in which you do a screw and a metal plate comes down onto the bottom. So instead of the recoil being taken on the wheels and tires, it's taken on an underplate. I'm not sure if that's what I'm looking at here or not. I think that is, because I know some artillery had that. What the Czechs did is they had a system that would raise the wheels off the ground, but instead of the two trails that come out and split from behind the artillery pieces, it would sort of branch out into four, and so at sort of equal points around the compass, if you will, and to very steady put that on the ground. That was developed by the Czechs. Post-war, the Soviets did a sort of a copy of that, but with three legs instead of four. So yeah, that was a Czech development during the war. Oh yeah, the Czechs were you know, they were the industrial heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and this is why, because of things, because compared to all other non-German areas, I only really know of the Czechs significantly collaborating on development of new weapon systems. We can look at some little bit of stuff with the French, but nothing ever gets put into production, because we can see the development stages of the 38T into the Hetzer and other vehicles like that. Aircraft developments that more the Germans shut down. I forget the model of Czech aircraft, but the German evaluation was, as from what I read, it was not enough better than the BF 109 at the time, because obviously there's multiple versions of the BF 109, but whatever it was in 1939, beginning of 1939, it was not enough better to justify a different production factory system, and as well as logistic support to have it. It wasn't enough better to do it. Now they end up, obviously, the Germans end up, we can come to an aircraft one here, end up putting in the FW-190 into production. The reason they do that is this is an N-line engine, meaning, there's an engine here and there's the cylinders, in a line. Where here, this is a radial engine in which the cylinders are in a circle around here. And these are two different manufacturing techniques. And a factory setup for this is difficult to swap, back and forth. Not that you can't use some of the production stuff. So they had production facilities for radial engines that very few military aircraft were using, fighter type aircraft. You have them where I'm looking for the the transports, the Ju-52s, wherever they are on this thingy here. Ju-52s used a radial engine. A few others use radial engines. So to use some of the radial engine capacity, and that this was a very good fighter, they ended up doing the two fighter versions anyways. So yeah, the Czechs, and this is why, because of the weapons developments, I still see the Czechs should be more or less just operating into the thing. 3 legs ensure contact with the ground. Yes, absolutely. Is uneven. Yeah, but it isn't tripoded though. You're right, Ragar. And hello, Daniel Busul, 2024. How you doing? Yeah, I hear you. 3 legs contact, but that's not. But they were flat on the ground. You still needed level ground. It's just I don't think that's the reason. I understand tripods, but it really wasn't. And hello, Ari. How you doing? And Beam Slam is here. Hello, Beam Slam. Hello. Yes. So, all right. Well, we're going to start the war a bit late. The war starts around September 1939. This would take 20 days. This would take just 8 days. So we could start it pretty quick, but I don't really want to start it with in the winter. So we're going to delay the war a little bit. We're going to use the delay to get some flak zones. We're going to start with the Rhineland flak zones. Get those into going. Invasion of Poland is coming soon. Trade, yes. Okay, so we have on Manstein. Okay, we're going to give him this division. We're actually getting to playing some of the game and not just me prattling on. Okay, yeah, we're going to create that as well. 10th Panzer Division. Skills and training, very good. Okay, we just got that for 38. We can come down here. More speed down is there. Engine production capacity +1. Assembly. Here, just because. Yeah, I guess this is the next best one to do. And we have free factories. We are building 2 more power plants, one almost completed. So let's add some more military factories because we can and we need more. You always play historical gameplay. Mostly. Hello, Manic, if I'm pronouncing that right, I hope. Mostly a mostly historical kind of thing, as opposed to. But hey, there's some of the videos, the My Little Pony stuff. I played that for HOI IV. I can embargo you. I don't care about embargoing anybody. Who do I care about embargoing? Transportation improvements, very nice. Okay, well, now, like we said here, we're going to come over here and get dual capabilities for our... Yeah, you saw it? Okay, so yeah, I mean, once in a while I do a joke. And I played some Kaiser Reich. For those, and hello, Plastic Gangster. Good to have you here. For if you're looking at like non-historical, I mean, I don't, because obviously I'm not trying to go to war right now at the exact historical moment. I like to play either a historically plausible game in my mind, something that is like plausible based in history, or I like something like Kaiser Reich, the really cool mod that sets up a different sort of world that has logical reasons behind what's going on, as opposed to simply playing, oh, hey, I'm going to play Russia, but somehow we're having the Tsar back in power, and we're going to be Tsarist Russia. What? How? Or, oh, we're going to have communist America, and it's going to conquer all of Latin America. To me, those are just silly. Unless you devise a world, set up an alternative setting, to me that stuff is just silly, and I just don't really want to play that kind of thing. Yeah, I like to limit my games to feasible scenarios. I won't do things that would simply never have happened. Yeah, meaning I'm not going to I don't know, want to play a game where I'm playing as United Kingdom and invade France. That just, to me is just not the way I look to play the game. You can, if that's what turns you on, play just sort of advanced risk or whatever you want to call it, and just play all kinds of various wacky stuff. Yeah, you're free to do that. This is the 10th Panzer Division at this point here, and it has medium support tanks here. That is a lot. Do we have enough in here? I don't know. We just got them here. Yeah, it looks like we do. We don't have enough light vehicles, that's for sure. That's a different issue. Across the river. Wasn't Commie USA also get good and win civil war to force U.S. to stop using dog eat dog capitalism. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, unless you're talking about Kaiser Reich. What do you think of mods like New Order or Thousand Week Reich? I haven't played them. I played Kaiser Reich. I'll tell you. Oh, okay. Since I play, since I started playing for YouTube channel here, I actually play less HOI IV because I mostly just play it when I stream it, or play it to make episodes if I'm not just streaming it. So I've actually played less HOI IV because I no longer just play it so much for fun. Not that I have a lot of fun playing it, but I don't play it just for fun. So that's maybe what okay. We need a lot of things like handheld like that. Light vehicles. Okay. We have, well, medium tanks, tankettes, support tanks. Not a lot, but at least we're not in a current deficit. So I'm going to put one more factory into light vehicles. That we have that going. We need more steel. Okay, so we need to get more steel. I think it is cheaper to, oh, well, we're not getting all the, I'm getting to hate this. Because Sweden has constantly been changing back and forth its amount of iron versus steel versus other stuff. I just sort of want to be able to set it and then let it go, not micromanage it all the time. Okay, well, let's do more flak defenses. Yeah, last time Britain tried to invade France, the war lasted 100 years. Not exactly. Um, the last time Britain invaded France was in 1815. So that wasn't the 100 Years' War. And they took Paris in 1815. After the Battle of Waterloo, they took Paris. Oh yeah, the graphics are very good. What type of alt scenarios do you think is most likely? Example, the Dutch joined the Allies or the Poles joined the USSR in 1938, stuff like that. Yeah. Hmm. There's a lot of, I'm trying to think using Arno's examples. Poland, there was a left wing in Poland that there was some open socialist parties, but I do not believe there was any open communist parties in Poland at this, in the 1930s. Polish nationalism, even from the left, is still nationalistic. It's not internationalism. So I don't see Poland joining the Soviet Union under any circumstances. The Dutch are almost in a de facto Western alliance. Not as much as the Belgians, but I think there, if if you could convince the Polish government slash people that, unlike in, World War I, the Germans are not going to allow them to remain at peace. I could see them joining an alliance prior to the outbreak of war, saying like, well, hey, if you invade Belgium, we're also at war, along with, Britain and France. Now, the problem with that is they've already let down Czechoslovakia, because particularly France, but also Britain, had an alliance with Czechoslovakia, and they let them down. Now, they set up after that point because of things. Okay, and I know we've stopped playing again to hear Gamer talk about things. We look back on history, and this is what I was talking about a little earlier. What would the world have looked like if Hitler was restrained at this point? Whether there was an army coup against the Nazis and they're removed from power, or there was somehow, Hitler's assassinated, because there were many attempts, but he's assassinated. This is not a what if somebody would have assassinated. People were trying to assassinate him 4 or 5 times a year. Some more serious attempts than others. Sometimes it's just somebody who's getting on a train with a pistol, told a few people, and he's arrested before he gets to Nuremberg or something. Would he have ever been able to get anywhere near? Because I think that's one of the cases. I've been thinking about making a mod over the years covering the different assassination attempts. But I think one case, maybe it was a Czech or somebody who's gotten on a train in Germany, and he's arrested at that point with a pistol on him. And I don't think it's an entirely a false flag or some sort of setup job, but somehow they get, other times the bombs go off, and while Hitler's late, because he's often late to things, they set a bomb that's timed to go off in the middle of Hitler's a scheduled appearance, and it blows up. And one of that was for the Munich beer hall push commemorations. That's one of the attempts. So it's a reasonable what if at any particular given date, before or after the war starts, Hitler's assassinated. Those are all very, very legit, plausible what if scenarios. Now, none of those scenarios would lead to, by 1936, we're talking, not 1926, but by 1936, none of those scenarios would say have the communists come to power. But you might have the Kaiser come back, or you might have, forced, the German army, with the death of the leader, forces a national elections, and the Nazis will still win a very big percentage of the voting, but maybe not the majority. So we could plausibly look at something about like this, and no further German expansion, aggressively. That's a plausibility. Maybe stretching it, right? But we tend to look back at World War II and this period and look at Germany. We focus on Germany for very, very good reasons. And there's very good reasons why France, particularly, and Czechoslovakia come into an alliance, is because they're both seriously at this point worried about a resurgent Germany, and would be sort of, a two-front war for Germany at the start. And so they want to have that alliance. But not Poland. Not with Poland. And definitely not with Romania. Why? Because, Reger says, and I will read all the chat, Hitler survived over 50 assassination attempts. Yeah, some more serious than others, as in likelihood of being carried out or being successful. And that is one of the reasons why Hitler thinks he is destined for great things is that he believes some higher power is looking out after him. And he becomes, as time goes on, more and more convinced by this. Okay. In, I think, around 19, and again, I've made the mods, but I don't remember all the dates, and I think it's around 1936, 1937, somewhere in there, Romania goes on a massive push. Well, Germany has asked Romania to become an ally, and Romania says, no way. There is some sort of international agreement that most of the Ploetzi oil is going to Germany, but that's an economic situation in which the Germans are buying it. It's not like it's being given to Germany, but Germany has like primary first dibs on buying it. That's one thing that this mod is getting a bit wrong here. But in around 36, 37, Romania tries very hard to get an alliance with France and or Britain. And it is an and or, but primarily they're looking at France. Both turn them down, shut them down. Hitler wants an alliance with Romania. Romania says, fuck off to Hitler. But hey, France, hey, Britain, give us an alliance. And both turn them down. Why? Well, there in 1936 or 1937, Romania is not looking at an alliance against Hitler. They're looking at an alliance against the Soviet Union. And I think for good reason, Britain and France turn Romania down. Because neither of them, and you can particularly look at the French population, and you can particularly look at the French military idea of the Maginot Line, they've become pure defensive mindset. There is not, particularly in France, there is not the political will to send large numbers of French soldiers to defend Romania from Soviet attack. Okay? Not that if there's an attack, they wouldn't sell or give weapons or allow, a Romanian, or not, sorry, well, no, a French, volunteer division to form up of pure volunteers to go off and fight the Bolsheviks, or something like that. That may happen, but that wouldn't be part of a formal alliance. That would just be sort of allowing these things to happen. It's also a practicality thing because, again, as we're seeing right now today, with the war in the Black Sea, the Ukraine war, but there was already at this point a no military vessels coming, or Turkey has the right to shut down military vessels coming through here for nations at war in the Black Sea. This was to keep either the Soviets or Russians from needing to attack Turkey to shut these off, or to keep the Western Allies from coming and attacking Turkey to shut off ships coming through, so they could just shut this down and have no military vessels coming through here. So it would be potentially very hard. And you got to realize Yugoslavia is, especially at this time and still to this day, is a very underdeveloped country. There was not a really good rail system. We can sort of see the rail system around here. Not a really good rail system linking up. Yeah, sure, there's rails connecting, but rail system linking up to move lots and lots of supplies from somewhere out here without, coming through basically Hungary. Or maybe coming through Italy, to get in lots of rail supplies to support Romania in a fight against the Soviet Union. Well, all this holds true for Poland. Unless you're having German help, you're not going to, unless you're going to have to come through supplies in through either Danzig or Gdynia here, and bring them through, and they're going to be cut off. So there's a lot of reason in the early mid-30s to not give Poland or Romania an alliance with France or Britain, because the alliance is looking at, especially Romania, but also for Poland, against the Soviet Union as much or more than against Nazi Germany. So, but that isn't a problem with Czechoslovakia. Although you do not have the ability to send supplies, it is not designed against the Soviet, because there's this buffer states, Poland, Romania, whatnot. So they're not, the alliance with Czechoslovakia wasn't designed, and I don't know if it specifically excluded attack by the Soviet Union, but wasn't designed as a defense of the Soviet Union. And even if you can't supply directly, send supplies into Czechoslovakia, you can, of course, in theory, march across Germany and cut Germany in two. So it makes sense to have an alliance with Czechoslovakia in an anti-German alliance. Italy, prior to, they set it up in 1936, at the very beginning. There's an anti-German alliance, the Three Powers Pact that Mussolini sets up with, obviously, Italy, Austria, and Hungary in an anti-German alliance. And again, most of what Mussolini was going to do was come up to the Brenner Pass here and secure that, and secure the the Alps here a bit from German aggression, and then who the fuck cares about the rest of it, but whatever. So with particularly France, but also Britain, not honoring their alliance with Czechoslovakia, either over the Sudetenland or later when the rest of Czechoslovakia is taken, that could deter somebody like the Netherlands from going, well, shit, had an alliance with these guys, they didn't honor it. What if they start just invading us, and are they going to come to our aid? Really? Are we sure? And so that puts off countries. Now, Poland is desperate. Poland is, feeling all kinds of threats from the Soviet Union, feeling obviously threats from Germany, and they're desperate. So they do sign up an alliance with France, because most of the propaganda coming out of Germany is not over Danzig. That's often missed. It's over the Danzig corridor, basically this. Germany is demanding a corridor through here. Maybe not quite as big as this, but they're demanding probably something about like that. And Poland is saying no. They're even saying with some of the offers is, well, you can still move, trains through to your little port up here in Gdynia, but that will have to be moved through German territory. Poland is saying no to that, because they've just seen what Czechoslovakia, and then this has happened. So if they give up on this, they think they're going to eventually have to give up on, larger territories down here that had been part of the German Empire. And once they give up on those, well, then the next, bit is whatever's left. So they're willing to fight, and any allies, even unreliable allies, are still better than no allies at that point. And of course, they're worried about the Soviets, and with the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, it becomes panic time. So, and they've already have the alliance. So, yes, I could see in the 1930s, if you can convince the Dutch that the Germans are going to attack in the West, and they very likely, or whatever, if you can, convince them that there's military plans, or they're going to be run over, they're going to join. Talking to some of my Norwegian friends, I don't think the Norwegian government will join a Western alliance, because I think they're mentally not, their head is not in the game for modern war, one. And two, they just are going to believe / hope that they're not in the path of the war. Meaning, the Netherlands may be in the path for the invasion, especially since you can see that, the Dutch, it's really more along this river here, build a strong fortified line of defense. So to get around that, well, you go through the Netherlands. So that they may be in the path for the war. Here, it's like this may be outside of the combat field. So we're just gonna we've got oceans around us. The war's gonna bypass us. It doesn't have to come here. They don't even seriously take rearmament, so they're not going to join an outside alliance. And Denmark, the reason they're not going to join, very likely, is they just are not big enough, strong enough, and nobody can come to their aid quick enough, fast enough, with enough military equipment, units to protect them. They're just too small. Just too small. So, we can look at the Balkans, some of the other options. But let me look at some of the chat that I've been sort of ignoring while talking. Okay. Hello, Suter. How you doing? Problem is also with, we've got to go up. DEI, which they considered very important, but the Brits, the Dutch East Indies would take it. Yeah, I was thinking you were talking first about, hello, Suter, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But yeah, no, the Dutch East Indies, yes. Yeah, okay. Obvious alternative to World War II would be Poland giving back Danzig Corridor to the Third Reich, Poland in anti-Comintern and joint invasion of the Soviet Union. Yes, but and this is where I'm talking about what would the world have looked like if Hitler's restraint. If you believe in, I don't know all of Wilson's 14 points, but one of Wilson's 14 points, which of course Wilson might have believed in them, but none of the Western allies did, but was democratic self-determination as to what nations you're joining, meaning have local plebiscites as to what nation this territory wants to be. As far as I can tell, as a somewhat objective observer, the Sudetenland wanted to be part of National Socialist Germany. The Saarland, they had voted, wanted to be part of National Socialist Germany. All the rest of the Rhineland, Austria wanted to be part of National Socialist Germany. Bohemia and Moravia did not. But up until taking of the, getting the Sudetenland, that can all be, and this is, Gamer says controversial things all the time. Democracy isn't the fucking end-all, be-all of government. That these people are constantly, and it's mostly put out by the left and sometimes the right, democracy, democracy, democracy. Okay? Democratic representation within the government is a very good thing, people. Okay? But simply because the majority of the people in a given nation or region want something at some time, on Thursday, the 25th of some month of some year, most people want chocolate cake. And we're going to only have chocolate cake forever. Because this is what we're deciding today. And the people that really like cinnamon cake and vanilla cake, they're pissed because they've just been democratically told that forever they're going to have chocolate cake. Yeah, I'm trying to get this to, because I'm talking about anti-democratic things. Now, the opposite of democracy isn't necessarily a dictatorship, okay? Because we can see that Hitler, throughout the period from coming into power in 1933 up until 1939, and even beyond that, is constantly democratically acting. Is he a dictator? Absolutely. But he is constantly giving plebiscites, voting on things, whether it's Austrian reunification. He is doing voting campaigns, and I show this in my mod. He's constantly doing it. Now, they're rigged in a way, meaning they're not necessarily secret ballots. And you're not necessarily, you're normally getting a yes or no choice. Reunification with Austria, yes or no, and whatnot. And he's constantly going to the ballot box during this time period. I don't know if people realize this. Hitler's constantly going to not like every day or every month, but there's like 3 or 4 times from 1933 to 1939 in a 6-year period. Several times he's going to the national ballot box in Germany. Now, he knows he's going for election issues that are going to be popular and he's going to win. He isn't putting up controversial stuff in Germany at the time, given whatever particular time. Yes, Hitler's a dictator, but dictators often use democracy as a cover for their actions. Okay. Now, like I say, democratic representation within the government is a very good idea. But that doesn't mean that we should bow to the will of the majority at any one moment in time and have that be the answer. That is also a recipe for disaster. Look at Hitler. Okay. So having that, and so looking at that up until the Sudetenland, and definitely look at, again, the Free City of Danzig, which was overwhelmingly like 80% German speaking and wanted to join the Reich. If we're looking at democratic determination, to the best of my knowledge, this was a truly popular by the people there. So going for that matches at least what they mouth out in, the EU now, on the will of the people. Now, it was the will of the people to be Nazis. Yeah, which killed millions of people. So they democratically elected Hitler. But yes, Hitler is also a dictator. I'm not going to say he's not. This is more of an indictment of democracy, not a acceptance or saying Hitler was the good guy. No, God, no. Now, so if Hitler for somehow is restrained with Poland, just taking back Danzig, not the Danzig corridor, not additional whatever, and he doesn't do the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, does the Soviet Union attack Poland? Would, even if prior to that, Poland, if the rhetoric was not continuing to be, you have to look at, I think it was in the book Hitler's Compromises. Maybe it was one of the other ones that I've read. But with the end of World War I, up until about 1934, there is a massive exodus of German-speaking people from Poland. And I put it that way, however you want to define these people. Some of them had been living inside the former German Empire, but in what becomes Polish territory. Some of them had been living inside of, Warsaw, but that had been, because there was sort of a German middle class inside of the, at least the western part of the Russian Empire. You often see them up at the Baltic Germans and other places, sort of a technical, though also and mercantile, but also the Jews were technical and mercantile too. Jews were often a lot of the bureaucrats and a lot of the technical people watchmakers or other sort of technical people, not just money people, but technical people in this part of the world. And a lot of these, not the Jews, but a lot of the German-speaking people had been, over time, leaving Poland because they were facing various levels of discrimination. Maybe not so much violence, maybe not so much, attacks like we would think, but discrimination. They were leaving. Hitler puts the brakes on that. Hitler wants to keep the German-speaking minority there to be an excuse to eventually invade, to eventually claim it. So there's an actually slow up of German-speaking exodus. Some of these people, and the reason I say German-speaking, because some of these people, maybe yes, maybe no, are ethnically German, whatever that might mean. Some of these people had never been part of, and for generations had never been part of any German state, meaning like the 4 or 5 generations maybe inside of the, Tsarist Russia. So, what do you call these people? Yeah, Hitler wants to call them Germans, of course, but German-speaking people. So Hitler puts the brakes on that. So Hitler is trying to engineer a war with Poland, and he wants to erase Poland. But again, whether Hitler, is assassinated or whatever, and the Nazis are restrained, I could then see a possibility of Poland more worried about their eastern flank than their western flank, and coming into the anti-Comintern and an anti-Soviet pact. But one, Hitler isn't allowing them to join up with the anti-Comintern. That's a fact. Hitler does not want anything that says Poland on it. Because even when they form up the occupation government, it's just called the general government, or something very close to that in German. Very, very close to that. However you would want to pronounce that. I'll get to some other chat here. I'm sorry. We'll get to it. I do respect all of what you're saying, but I just want to get through this point. So he wants to erase anything that says Poland. Just call it the general government of what? It's just the general government. That's all it ever is called. Not anything that says Poland. But so again, yes, at that point, again, with the sort of the Nazis restrained, they may be still a political party, but them not in ultimate power. Yeah, I could see Poland more worried about the West, their eastern flank, not, and looking at the west of Soviet Union. But that's what it's got to take. It's not going to go with a joint invasion of the Soviet Union. It's got to be the Soviets are attacking from the east, or they're not going to join the anti-Comintern pact and allow German divisions move across Poland while they're still at peace with the Soviet Union for like an invasion of the Soviet Union. They might sign a defensive one, and no Germans enter until, sort of be a buffer state for Germany until Soviet troops come across the Polish border, then and only then allow in German divisions. That might have been a thing, again, with a non-Hitler government, but that's what it would require. Okay, let's see. Of course, because there would be no reason for the Western Allies, so it would be World War II. Well, we can see that. Actually, I kind of wonder what would happen when the U.S. and France would get Romania into an alliance as well as Poland. Then, well, the U.S. The population has no interest of anything in Europe. You're not going to get. Looking back at Ragar's comment here. U.S. will not align with France over anything on Romania. U.S. population just doesn't care. Even the government doesn't really care. Germany would likely support the idea of shooting at Russia and would try to break its diplomatic. Yeah. Hello, Nick Wilson over there. What about the U.S. would have gone neutrally after the Great War? Yeah. Look. I don't think I'm sitting here thinking this. I hope. Okay, we're going to end this episode just because this is going too long, but I will address this here because I think it's important. So hey, if you're watching this later, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and come back next time to see this very, very profound thing that I don't think most of the world understands about the United States. I really don't think you all know who we are. I really don't think you do. So come back next time to find out who America really is.